Hello, Lehoma. I'm Frankie Chow, artist from Sydney. I was in Hong Kong for 1 month doing a residency. It's a place in Wong Kok, I think, called Tong Lao Space. The residency director just started this residency in 2018, and so I applied to make a work and exhibition, and so I went there to stay for 1 month. So back in 2018, I made work about trying to record time and documenting it through drawings. The street that I lived on was Flower Market Street. I tried to make a site-specific work related to Hong Kong, and so there I bought the flowers every day, and then I drew every day those flowers onto the traditional calendars, the individual ones that you rip off. And so I was trying to relate Hong Kong kind of everyday sort of activities with my concept at that time. Recent exhibitions that I've had overseas or in Japan, for that one I was in Kyoto for 2 months, and so on a residency in Kyoto I made a big body of work, and they allowed me to exhibit that work in an exhibition space in a small gallery in Kyoto. It was a little bit challenging because they speak Japanese and I don't speak very good Japanese, and so that was one of the barriers that I found with exhibiting, and that would also relate to exhibiting worldwide in general, is that there's a big communication barrier. And so I think it's rewarding in the end because I get to meet more people through exhibitions and again relating my ideas to a bigger audience of cultures outside of Australia. The one that I made in Kyoto was my return to installation art. Previously I made performance and video, but for that particular body of work I was in a very fragile state of mind, and I wanted to go back to my past of making installation works using found objects because that was my basis of art knowledge. I made an installation work in Kyoto using the fabrics from the textile shops that I would see on the streets because Kyoto is known for their fabric and patterns and dyeing. I wanted to incorporate objects of Kyoto and Japan in my installation as a way of making site-specific work related to my mental health and my experience of living in Kyoto. So that particular fabric piece I bought online, but I did lots of research trying to find a fabric with the correct material and patterns that my mum's old house would have had back in Hong Kong. So from her stories and from the photographs that I've seen, lots of families in Hong Kong had quite cheap synthetic fabrics used as curtains in their small houses, and so in their rooms they would often use it to make makeshift curtains for their windows, but also for their bunk beds or other kind of spaces. And so with the particular installation work that I've made, because of that corner space, it reminded me of the small living conditions in Hong Kong apartments, and so I wanted to recreate that feeling of a little bit of claustrophobia, but also that strange nostalgia that you can see with domestic items. Broken Hill was 2018 in April, I believe. I had a collaboration with a friend to make a project in Broken Hill, which is in the middle of New South Wales, very outback kind of environment. And so for that project, my friend and I made a work about the Australian identity and how neither of us, whether through appearance or through voice, she had an American accent, neither of us appeared to be very Australian. And so it's like a satirical, comedic series of videos and installations about our engagement with Australian identity. A combination of video works, performances, sculptures, installations. Yeah, so lots of different styles in the exhibition. In the middle of nowhere, it took us 13 hours by train, I think. Yeah, So we were there for 1 month making those video works. Yeah. It was a bit tough. I would say that at the moment I'm a full-time artist, meaning that I don't have a job on the side. And so for my entire practice, I've always aimed to be an artist, and everything else that would provide me with money, that's the one that's on the side. Subconsciously, all of my works in my early practice until now has something to do with mental health, even if I wasn't aware of that. And so the way that I make work is perhaps cathartic in a way. There are some topics that I'm not able to communicate very directly. Maybe I'm not around the right people, or if I wasn't ready to talk about it. And so I would use my art process to try to navigate those issues that I find with depression and whatever I have been feeling in periods of time, and then trying to find some solution or just a way of supporting myself through my work. So I guess the way that I make art is initially a way for me to help myself deal with those mental health issues, but inevitably artworks are to be seen by audience members, and so I hope that the audience member would find some consolation or connection, or even more awareness about the issues that I've been trying to discuss through my work. I feel satisfied. I think that besides making work for myself, I make work to connect with people. And so if they find some healing in my work, then I feel like that's something that I've achieved in. Yes, in the way that my work is often read by Australian people as something to do with culture, because usually the work that I make is not necessarily about my Hong Kong background. My ethnicity is not a part of my practice usually, but regardless of that, other people would often see my work and always read something to do with East Asia or China or Hong Kong in my work, even if it doesn't have any relationship to it. So that would also correlate with me as an Australian and what is identity. And so no matter how I look, how my artwork looks, people always see that I'm not a white Australian. That's the difficulties that I find. In the beginning of my practice, I did performance art, and so I was physically in my artworks, whether it was live or in video. But those works had nothing to do with ethnicity or my gender, but everyone just subconsciously read that because I look like this. I don't look like a white Australian. So instead of a blank canvas, they saw me as an ethnic canvas instead. But recently, I have deliberately tried to implement more elements of East Asia into my work because it's a fact that I can't escape it. And if people keep reading it, then I might as well make work that people can relate to those ideas that they already have pre-seeing my work. So I would say that sometimes I cater to the audience because of my ethnicity and my appearance. I think my parents are more supportive than other parents might be in my position. But I think they were and still a little bit worried about my financial success as an artist, because traditionally Hong Kong parents would prefer me practicing medicine or law instead of art, but they don't have a say in my life, and I appreciate them for giving me the freedom of doing what I want to do.